Alright, what do we think of when we see this? American flag and Statue of Liberty. We think of pride, 4th of July, maybe the armed forces, maybe sports, barbecuing, having a good time. Well, what about when we think of it as related to television? Television was born in the United States. That's what I'll be talking about, the influence of television has over us as a society. I've been watching television for a good part of my life, of course. I've done my research over the past 2 weeks for this speech. I can also make the assumption that most of us in here have at least seen 10 minutes of television in our entire life. So in that way, we are influenced in that 10 minutes, whether you like it or not. It's kind of subliminal, most of it. And today I will be discussing the history of television, the different types of television, and how it influences us today. First, I would like to start out with how television started. It started with a Russian engineer named Nipkow. He invented the rotating disc. Have you ever seen one of those things where you put a picture in and you spin it? That's the basic idea, but it's mechanical, where it spins horizontally and it creates an image. That's mechanical. That's one branch, and that was started in the 1880s. The next branch didn't come until 1907, which was the cathode-based television, and it was invented by Campbell Swinson and a Russian scientist, Boris Rosing. Cathode is a group of clear glass, and there's an electrical signal thing at the back of it that it's a metal that picks up electrical signals and it translates it into images, and it sends it through the cathode, and the cathode sends it to the screen, projects it on the screen. And this is an older, or a newer version of it, but this is an older television that uses a cathode. And these screens were about 2 inches big, like this big. From there, everything got more digital, more electrified, and the cathode eventually went away, and it was replaced by LEDs, which are small lights that are 3 different colors that can make up any color you want. And from there, we went to wireless television, where you can get television anywhere on your phone or on the computer. Next, now that you have a history lesson, we'll be talking about different types of television shows. First is a sitcom, where it's scripted, geared towards comedy to make you laugh, have fun. The next is news television, which is the most influential out of all of them, because we watch the news to get information, and based on that, we make our decisions. After that, we have reality TV. Reality TV, which is unscripted, supposedly, and it is just a camera following around people in life. Now that I've shown you some of the types of television shows, I will be getting into how it influences us and why we watch it and stuff like that. When we watch TV shows, we watch it to entertain, for entertainment, but what we don't know is TV pushes the envelope as far as like what's allowed on TV. And because they do that, each time we watch it, we are desensitized. Like war or a subject, a political subject, the news will push it and push it and push it, and you'll see it so much that you won't notice it anymore, and it's just being fed to you, and you don't even know it. We watch it just to be lazy. Sometimes we sit there and just stare and not even watch it half the time. We're mindless, and whatever we hear subliminally, like you'll hear a commercial for Double Mint Gum, and you won't even be paying attention to it, but like 10 minutes later you'll remember the song. And the next one is the worst one, is when little kids can't differentiate from reality and non-reality. Like when they watch like Power Rangers, they want to do it. They want to fight after. And then they believe that they're in that world. They become zombies. And they just do whatever the television is telling them to do. Today I've talked about how modern TV has influenced us, from kids to adults, any walk of life that can understand TV. And in the end, I just hope that we get smart enough and teach our children to not always believe what is on television, even though it is real. Even though it is real, like reality TV, we have to let them know that it's not real. Thank you.
So, Paul, what did you think?
He pronounced his words very clear. There wasn't any parts where I didn't understand what he was saying. I also liked how on his slides he just used pictures. He didn't use any words. We didn't have to read off the slides, and they went with what he was talking about. So it's altogether pretty good. Yeah.
All right, Casey, the opening with the rhetorical question and the visual image there, I'm not sure what that's got to do with TV. It just seemed a little strange that you put it together, and then you dived into the topic. It seemed kind of a stretch. Once you got to the topic, I kind of agree with Paul. I like the visuals. The graphic images are nice but you use them primarily as transition points. There's not much explanation. I was watching you struggle trying to describe the cathode tube and putting your hands together and doing all this kind of stuff, and I'm thinking, now there's a perfect example of a place where we ought to have a visual image that shows exactly what it is that this, the cathode tube does, and there you are trying to make it, by holding a fist up here and, putting your hand up against it. I'm going, there's a missed opportunity there. So although you've got some visuals that are planned and they help structure the speech a little bit, they don't explain much of the material. I think your topic is a little broad. The subject matter is interesting. Everybody knows what television is, and so that's okay. It ought to be interesting to people. But you don't have enough of a focus on it. At one point you're giving us the history of television, and it seems like you start with the earliest inventions of moving images at all that have nothing to do with television, and then the next thing you know, we're talking about the digital age and LEDs, and if you had just talked about that and how it had gone from how they created the visual images, how those, the cathode tubes then made those images able to be transmitted, and then how that was developed into home sets, and then how the home sets developed, I think that would have been a good focus for the speech. But then you kind of go on another tangent, and you start talking about the different kinds of programming, and you just list types of shows. You don't give us examples of them. You don't tell us why they're useful or valuable or worthless.